Dollemocracy. Facing down pessimistic politics with realistic optimism.
So we have an exciting story that people may not care about. I don't know how much people are going to care about it, but I really care about it. I'm excited by it.
I love that you say it's an exciting story. It's about Jordan Peterson, who is a dipshit. But this has far-reaching implications, and I think it is an interesting story, certainly.
Yeah.
So, exciting. You might be overselling it.
Okay, all right. So Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist from Canada who became famous when he started attacking trans people and saying that he refuses to use preferred pronouns. That's basically how he got on the map.
He also misrepresented a law in Canada saying that it was like forced usage of preferred pronouns. I think that was kind of the crux of it. It in no way was criminalizing someone, putting them in legal jeopardy if they didn't use someone's preferred pronouns.
Yes.
But he acted like, I just won't do that, with his cartoonish goof voice.
Yeah, so he has written some books. 12 Rules for Life is really prominent. There's a lot of young men who really like him. You may have heard of him. Maybe you even like him, and you're listening to this right now. He is a right-wing radical, and although he is a clinical psychologist and puts that in his Twitter bio, he spends most of his time, again, attacking trans people, speaking out against climate change, things that are not relevant to his practice.
Telling fat models that they are objectively ugly. He is a wild, harmful... We'll just start there.
The views and opinions expressed by Jesse Dollemore are solely those of Jesse Dollemore and do not reflect the views and opinions of Brittany Page, who is a far superior person and much more measured and reasonable in her views and analysis.
We'll start there because I find him vile and sinister and hurtful. He is a piece of shit. And I know, you're going to come at this from your clinical psychology standpoint, your licensed person standpoint, and we share different opinions. I harbor a lot of venom for him.
So I think there are some specifics to get into. Basically, let's just kind of zoom out really quick. So he has tweeted hateful things, and we'll get to a few of those. He has tweeted hateful things, and in response to that, his licensing board that oversees his clinical psychology license has said, you need to take an education course on how to operate your social media. We're just going to put you through a course because you're saying some things that we feel are out of line with what we do here, with what we are representing. And so we want you to go through this course and stop.
If you want to remain licensed as a clinical therapy delivering psychologist, if you want to maintain the license that we give as an entity, you need to do these things.
And we should say he's licensed, but he doesn't practice. And I think he hasn't practiced for years. So he, instead of just taking the course and saying, okay, let me do this, he decided to file a court case and fight it. And he lost that case. Mm-hmm. So the court upheld that it seems reasonable that someone who behaves the way that he does online while calling themselves a clinical psychologist should have to go through an education course, and that this is not infringing on his free rights because, quote, when individuals join a regulated profession, they do not lose their charter right to freedom of expression. At the same time, however, they take on obligations and must abide by the rules of their regulatory body that may limit their freedom of expression. And so you may be asking, well, so he's just talking about how he doesn't believe in climate change. That doesn't seem like it should be something that violates the regulatory conditions.
Right.
Okay, well, how about this? A further complaint about Dr. Peterson's January 2nd, 2022 tweet in which Dr. Peterson responded to an individual who expressed concern about overpopulation by stating, "You're free to leave at any point." The further complaint provided a link to a 2018 GQ interview in which Dr. Peterson made a similar comment about suicide. So, should someone who is a licensed clinical psychologist be telling people to kill themselves online?
I think the answer is clearly no.
The answer is clearly
listen, is he in a profession that is a helping profession or not? Would he say the very same thing that he said to that person? Well, why don't you go kill yourself, or you're free to kill yourself anytime? Would he say that sitting across the room from someone in a therapy session? Because if not, then he's acting, especially when he has clinical psychologist in his bio, he's advertising himself as that, not just random Jordan Peterson.
Right.
It's vile.
Then he also tweeted in May 2022 in a comment about a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition cover with a plus-size model tweeting, "Sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of authoritarian tolerance is going to change that."
Yeah.
So he wants to rank how attractive people are, attack their appearance, attack trans people. So he's using his social media in a way that this licensing board says this is a problem.
Yeah.
And imagine if, you have doctors, you have therapists, everyone listening. Imagine if you went online and you saw your doctor, your therapist, telling people to kill themselves online.
Right.
Or talking about how trans people are bad and they're ugly. I mean, is that something that you want to see from someone that is taking care of you, that is supposed to be like managing and helping you? I
wouldn't want that. Like, let's even put it in my perspective with the doctor who took out my 35% of my colon and cured my colon cancer. I wouldn't want her to be behaving like that. And she's my surgeon. She's not my mental health professional.
Yes.
There's no way. It would be a deal breaker for me. Sorry, I don't want you inside, poking around inside me when you have these kinds of pernicious, hateful, harmful beliefs.
Right. So Jordan Peterson's family has gotten in on the grift, and his daughter has a YouTube channel, and Jordan Peterson decided to go on his daughter's YouTube channel, Michaela Peterson, to talk about and react to the court decision. I want you to listen carefully to the language that he uses when he's talking about this court case, when he's responding to it, because he's not being fully honest. I mean, I highlighted some of the instances that were specifically listed in this court case that are prompting him to require an education course. And I want you to hear the deceptive way that he explains it.
I'm perplexed, I would say, about the situation in Canada. I've been thinking about it this morning. As you know, the court that we appealed the College of Psychologists' decision to decided that the college it's within the college's purview to stop me from having any political opinions, as far as I can tell. The decision, which I posted on Twitter and will post in the description of this video, starts out by making a case for the fundamental reality of freedom of speech for Canadians in Canada, and then says, but, and that's always a bad start when you're talking about freedom of speech, but apparently the college has the right to decide that I can be re-educated forcibly with the risk of my license, essentially because I made political statements that the members of the college don't agree with. And those opinions involve two criticisms of Justin Trudeau, one criticism of his chief of staff, one criticism of an Ottawa city councillor, and then my objection on Joe Rogan to the climate apocalyptic fear-mongering that idiot tyrants are foisting on the general population. Now, apparently that makes me unprofessional and a disgrace to the profession, such that I am now going to be required, the college can go ahead with this, to put me into a re-education program with their so-called social media experts, and that's also, by the way, a profession that does not exist, until I learn my lesson, whatever that is, regardless of how much time that takes, by their judgment. Or they can take my license away. And so the court says, well, of course you have freedom of speech, Dr. Peterson, but because you're a professional, you're bound by your professional organization. And apparently they're not bound, even though they're a government organization, fundamentally. Apparently they're not bound by that fundamental constitutional axiom. And so that shows you, all you Canadians who are listening, and everyone outside of the country who might be the least bit interested in Canada, that shows you exactly what our bloody Constitution is worth.
So he's trying to make it a free speech issue, saying that he has simply tweeted political opinions that are outside of what the licensing board agrees with or endorses. And again,
just criticisms. That's all they are. Just criticisms.
yeah, again, it goes further than that. And it isn't just about you having political opinions that are at odds with the licensing board. It's that you're telling people to kill themselves, and you're talking about how people are ugly and fat. And just this week, he retweeted a picture from a right-wing radical who sometimes posts pictures of trans people and then asks the audience if they're attractive, just to be hateful.
Right.
Just to have trolls. Just to feed the trolls. And Jordan Peterson retweeted this and said, "I see a beautiful, beautiful woman because that's what my professional college demands I see. Upon pain of losing my license to practice and being branded a disgrace to the profession."
Oh.
I mean, what a sickening person.
What a martyr he wants to be.
And listen, it's working because he set up a free speech defense fund on GoFundMe.
Wait. Really? Doesn't he makes like $40 or $50 or $60 or $70,000 a month.
Oh, we're going to get to that. But this GoFundMe is currently almost to $72,000 with a goal of raising $275,000.
Who are these people who are giving filthy rich people their money?
Well, and Jordan Peterson, I don't know why he answered this question during an interview, but during an interview with someone named Martin Wheel on YouTube, I think this was two or 3 years ago, he actually answered the question about how much he makes. And get ready for this. Does this sound like someone who needs a GoFundMe?
Look, I've said right from the beginning that I'm an evil capitalist. I don't make any bones about it. I'm not ashamed of making money. It's very hard to make money.
Can I ask you bluntly how much you make?
I make $80,000 a month on Patreon. My book is selling about 20,000 copies a week. I have royalties that probably amount to something approximating $1.50 on each of those. The tours garner about $35,000 to $50,000 an evening. I have a business that's generating, I don't know, something in the neighborhood of $200,000 a month for me personally. There's some other smaller sources of income than that.
Then you are making a lot of money.
Yes.
Out of this.
I certainly am. And so are a lot of other people.
The grift pays.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Look,
it's a lot of money.
I've said this before, that we've had people in our lives who make jokes about it, that if we wanted to switch, like, oh yeah, I saw the light. I turned away from the darkness of being a progressive and went back to my roots of being a Republican and a Trump supporter. We would make untold millions of dollars because people, they're so desperate to throw their money to these hateful fearmongers and just vicious trolls. It's very bizarre to me. That's crazy money he's making.
Yeah. And listen, again, if it was just the political opinions, I would think that Jordan Peterson has a point, that his licensing board can't come after him for having political opinions that result in him denying climate change. I mean, should he be going on Joe Rogan's podcast and talking about it while representing himself as a clinical psychologist? I don't know. It's outside of his scope of practice. I think it does start to get into a kind of a gray area. But when you are attacking people as unattractive, ugly, fat, gross, when you are ratcheting up the level of hatred online, when you're engaging in troll behavior, when you're telling people to kill themselves, I mean, these are things that we would expect more from people who are licensed professionals who are out there helping other people. We expect more from those people. So either you want to be a troll online, or you want to be representing yourself as a healer, a clinical psychologist, an expert.
Right.
You have to choose. You cannot be both.
So when the stated objective of your particular licensed profession is to ease the suffering, the mental anguish and the problems connected with mental illness, but instead you're exacerbating them, you're pushing people, encouraging people to kill themselves, they shouldn't have given him the other chance. They're not being draconian in their measures. They're actually being way, way too easy by my account.
Yeah, it's just an education course.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
What you have to do anyway to maintain your license is
Yeah.
continuing education credits.
Right. This is just like telling you, hey, stop telling people to kill themselves on Twitter. That's all they want you to do is stop telling people to kill themselves on Twitter.
He's the worst. And he's also, more importantly, a terrible dresser. Like, what is he wearing with the stupid multi-panel suits? And he's got one suit you pointed out that has his signature on the lapel. Ugh.
So if you are a Jordan B. Peterson fan, I would just take some of this into consideration, not promote his content, not contribute to his GoFundMe. He's making a lot of money. He does not need your money.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
We'd love to know what you think about this. 657-464-7609. Of course, you can email a voice memo from your smartphone to idoubt@dollemore.com.